Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is excited today. I hope everyone enjoyed the stream, the Figma stream with Kari just a moment ago. But today we'll be having our, or I guess right now, we'll be hosting our Git Good with Git workshop. So if it is your first time using Git, your second time using Git, or you're a Git veteran, then this workshop is still for you. We'll be going over how to resolve merge conflicts, how to branch, good branching strategies, etc. So I hope everyone's excited, and we can go ahead and begin. So before we begin here, feel free to use that link right there below me, events.mlh.io/events/12728. That will send you straight to the check-in link to get your swag for this season launch week. So if you're wanting to get all those cool prizes, stickers, etc., then that is how to get it. So can I see who is currently here in chat? I see we have B5Ks and bro, we have D Shaxi Ways and Yay. Yeah, nice to meet y'all. So as y'all start saying hello in chat, I will also start. I see a hi from Blastburn, and I see a hi from Shoestick Hundwall. Nice to meet y'all. Oh wow, there's a lot of people in chat. Umarla Mukhtar, I see IRFNNN. I see Shiru, Lightskin, Green Yoshi, Pharaoh, Avinash, Tadmisha, Original Fairs, Satama, Eunice, Pashind, Slaystina, Disha, Ice Cream Dog, Oteen, so many highs in chat. It is nice meeting y'all. If y'all also want, let me know where you're tuning in from. So right now I'm tuning in from Texas today. So it is July 4th, and later today we'll have some fireworks to celebrate the holiday. But feel free to drop where you're tuning in from. I see some hackers saying they're tuning in from India. Love to see it. Hopefully it's not too late right now. I think it's around like 10:30, right? 10:30 p.m. I see more India. I see a Nigeria. I see North Carolina. Let's go. India, Nigeria, India. Someone's coming in from Earth. Yo, that's kind of dope. Me too. I see someone from Kerala, India, from Bhubaneswar, India. I see Indonesia, Armenia. Wow. Someone shouting Ryan. Oh, Danushka. Hello. India and India. Well, as you all drop it in, I'll go ahead and begin, but it's nice to see everyone here today. Oh, a Canadian. Love to see it. Brazil, Maryland. Oh, I was just in the DMV area yesterday. Nice to see people from there. And Hacker Ghost asks where I'm from. I'm from Texas. I was in the DMV area like 12 hours ago, but I am back. I see someone from Illinois. And yeah, in Sweden. Great to see it. So right before I begin, one last shout out. Again, use that link down below me. Check in at events.mlh.io/events/12728 to get your check for today, so you can start collecting swag. But without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. So for those who don't know me, I'm Ryan Lalu. I'm a coach at Major League Hacking. I'm actually one of 3 Ryans here at MLH. And I am a lettuce enjoyer, similar to all the other Ryans here, Ryan number 1 and number 2. We are all lettuce enjoyers. So a few notes before we get started here. First off, thank you for attending. I appreciate everyone showing up to me, whether it's 10:30 p.m. or sorry, 10:38 p.m. at night, or it is 12 noon p.m. in America. So it's nice to see everybody here. During this workshop, we'll introduce GitHub if you're not already familiar with it. We're going to get access to the GitHub Student Developer Pack. We're going to learn more about version control systems. We're going to explore Git, and then we're going to walk through how to use Git with GitHub. So let's first talk about Git and GitHub. Who here knows the difference between the two? And if you do, feel free to let me know down in the chat. I see a rogue PewDiePie. I see you're saying hi, hello, and I see some lettuce. But if anyone knows the difference between Git and GitHub, drop it down in chat. If not, then I will show you my explanation. Oh, I see some comments now. Git is the system, GitHub is the platform. Yeah, that's pretty much right. GitHub is Git hosted in the cloud. Yeah, that's also correct. Git CLI is kind of the merging of both, or the GitHub CLI. Git is a version control system. That's correct. Git is a tool, and GitHub is an online storage. Git, yeah, that's right. Git is a version control. Yep. Git is a version control system. Yes. Git is a version control system, while GitHub is a type of software to store code and collaborate. Mostly correct. It's less of software, more of a online platform. Git is a tool. GitHub is a service. Yup. Git is a version control system, and GitHub is a platform to host code. Yes, everyone here is correct. GitHub is like when you yossify Git for visual learners. That is true. So yeah, everyone here seems to have a pretty solid understanding. So to just highlight everything everyone said in chat here, GitHub is a cloud platform for code collaboration, while Git is a version control system, or a VCS. GitHub uses Git as a version control system, provides many hosting and sharing tools on top of it. Git, more specifically, tracks changes to your code, and it can be used with various other tools locally on your computer or in the cloud like GitHub. So if you want to think about it in a more nuanced way, GitHub is like the Google Drive for code, and Git is like Google Docs history feature for code. So yeah, it's kind of confusing if you're not familiar with it at first, but once you get the hang of it, Git is like what you use for tracking your history and changes on your code, and GitHub is where you host it online. So this workshop, unfortunately, we only have a 1 hour block for it, but there is a lot to talk about. We will not be able to get over to cover everything. So if you want some really solid resources, feel free to use any of the 2 links to the right. If you want to learn more about GitHub, you can use mlh.link/gettrained. Or if you want to learn more about the different Git commands and get a nice cheat sheet, you can use mlh.link/git. Yeah, so let's go ahead and continue. So you might be asking yourself, if Git is the version control system and GitHub uses it on top of, Git inside of it, why should you use GitHub? So I'm going to show you like 100 different things. There's so many things you can do with GitHub. There's like hundreds. Right here is like 40 of them, but there's so many more. And some of the really nice ones I want to highlight is GitHub Copilot. It is actually free now. So if you are a student or if you're working full-time, regardless of who you are, you get GitHub Copilot for free. You also have GitHub Actions, which is a really nice way to automate your workflows and your pipelines. Codespaces is a free place to host your code in the cloud to just test it on an environment outside of your computer. So if you're working on a Chromebook, let's say, and you don't have a way to download applications or code per se, you can do that all in the cloud. And there's so many more here that I'd recommend. I see a question in chat from Pi Engineer Girl, and I see, is there a specific resource we will be using in this workshop to practice pushing, pulling, and merging? Yes. So if time permits, at the very end of this workshop, we're going to have a section where we're going to try our best to get everyone in chat to work in groups or in pairs of 2 and see if they can commit to each other's repositories and simulate a merge conflict. So hopefully at the last 10 minutes of this workshop, we'll try to get all of that working. So I see a Flying Girl saying, why use GitHub? It's like asking, why eat an ice cream? The simple answer is, it's awesome. I completely agree. GitHub is an awesome platform. So yeah, let's go ahead and continue. So the first thing is, I can't mention GitHub without mentioning the GitHub Student Developer Pack. If you were a student, get this. I had this when I was a student since middle school till the end of college. So over a decade, I've had this pack, and it is honestly what continued, enabling me to code. It empowered me so much to use so many free tools like the JetBrains suite. If you want to use IntelliJ IDEA for Java development or PyCharms for Python development, it is a great way to get a lot of enterprise software for free. So if you are a student, get it, please. You also get access to GitHub Copilot Pro, which if you want to use the new Sonnet 3.7 or 4.0 models, that is how you do that. As well as Codespaces, get access to Campus Experts, GitHub Experiences, and the Developer Pack. So there is a lot of things to get here. It should take about 10 minutes, but if you use the link down below, that is an expedited way to get access to everything. So before I continue to an intro to version control systems, I'm going to look over chat real quick. I see 404 in chat. Nice to see you again. And I see him responding to Flying Girl. Talking about different GitHub services, or sorry, different Git services. So yeah, there's GitLab, Git or Bitbucket by Atlassian, GitHub by Microsoft. A lot of great things there. And I see someone, Rajat, saying the student developer pack is the best. I completely agree. It is an amazing tool to use. Yeah, let's go ahead and continue then. So I saw earlier in chat some people were mentioning a version control system, and you might have heard me mention it a few times before, but you might be asking yourself, what is a version control system like Git? So we're going to cover it real briefly here. So there are 4 main stages or main areas in a version control system. But to more, I guess, summarily describe it, a version control system enables multiple people to simultaneously work on a single project. So if you have, let's say, a team in a hackathon of 4 people, including yourself, how do you manage the history and the main code base? How do you do that without messing up each other's code? And the solution to that is version control systems. So in Git, everyone gets their own working copy or snapshot and a repository, which has snapshots. So think of this as the working directory or the local repository, right? As you continuously make changes, you add your revisions to the staging area. Think of this as a place that is inside of Git itself, but it's on your computer that will house all of your revisions. So after committing, which is when you say that your changes, you want to package them all up into a package, that's called a commit. Others will not have access to your changes until you push your changes into the remote repository. So if you want to think of this from a literal sense, a remote repository, the thing that is over here, that is GitHub. Your working directory, think of it as I guess these 3, the working directory, staging area, and local repository, that's your code. This is your local computer. The local repository, think of it as your .git file. It's a hidden file that's in your project that stores all of the Git branches and revisions that are stored locally. It has all of the branches all co-located in one file, is the way to think about it. So that's your local repository. Your staging area is whenever, let's say you have the VS Code, I guess, view of Git. It's kind of, we'll cover it in a bit. But when you add things to the staging area, that's when you can bundle it together and add it to your local repository. So might be a little bit confusing here, but we'll continue going through this. So that the flow of getting everything from working directory to remote repository is how you bundle everything together so nothing conflicts with each other. Think of it as different checkpoints. So let's say you're a user that's trying to then pull the data from somebody else. That's where you want to fetch things. So when you try to fetch changes, you have to first fetch it from your local repository, fix any conflicts if there are any, and then merge them into your working directory. So we have a flow that goes to the right into the remote repository, and we have a flow that goes to the left from the remote repository to your local repository, and then thus your working directory. So the 2 commands to note here is git merge and git fetch. These 2 are the exact same as using git pull. Git pull actually does both of these commands, git fetch and then git merge. So by design, these intermediary areas allow us to work out any problems before affecting our working directory. Think of the working directory as your VS Code instance, whatever is in your file tree at that time. So it's a way that we can make sure our working directory is stable and our remote repository is stable. And the instability, or where merge conflicts can happen, will be inside of local repository. So kind of confusing. I'll go ahead and check chat if anyone has any questions. So I see 404 responding to Anushka saying, merge conflicts are bad, but rebasing and organizing branches, now that is real Git hell. I've nuked my main branch too many times to know. I completely agree. Rebasing, organizing branches, even merge conflicts, they're all really, really tedious to deal with sometimes. Yep, GitHub is an amazing tool. And it looks like we have a veteran for sure. And then I see Atomic Shadow saying, I absolutely destroyed my Android kernel repo while rebasing branches once. That is actually pretty funny. Let's get into asking please can you explain how git merge has something to do with the working directory? Yeah, so git merge is how, so think of it like this, right? The remote repository is GitHub. Your working directory is your current page or your current like VS Code, right? When you have all your code inside of there. So when you git merge, what you're doing is you're first, well, I guess that's assuming you get fetched, which means that you're basically downloading everything from the remote repository to your local repository. That's where you sync up all the branches. So assuming you've done that before, git merging is basically saying, okay, now in our local repository, which has all of the different branches, right? We want to merge a specific branch into our working directory, which means if we have any changes in our working directory, we're trying to grab all of those and merge it together. So let's say we're on the same branch here. Let's say local repo has branch 1, and our working directory is currently selected on branch 1. We are then going to be merging all of those new changes into working directory. I hope that makes a little sense there. I see Sakshiwei saying, I did my first ever Git push yesterday, and finally when I managed to accomplish it, I did it in master branch instead of main. Is there a way to easily merge both? So master and main branch are synonymous. The kind of dynamic in a lot of version control systems is moving away from the term master and more towards the term main. So in the end, they're both the exact same. So you don't have to worry about it. But if you want to change the branch from master to main, there's a setting inside of GitHub, I think, where you can change what the main branch is. If not, you can make a new branch called main and then merge your changes into that and then delete the master branch. And then is git pull and pull request the same? Yes, yeah. No. A PR is a little different. That is a, I guess it's kind of similar. Think of a git pull command as a way to get everything from your remote repo into your working directory. And a PR or a pull request is a way, let's say on GitHub, to create, I guess, another like isolated instance of what if I merged branch 1 into branch 2. It's kind of similar. It's kind of, I see the nuance in that though. It is kind of confusing. Yeah, so they're a little different. I might recommend going back into going to one of these resources over here. Where is it? Get trained. They should have a little bit. They should have a description of the differences between a PR and a pull request. So Sean Poole is asking, could someone please explain CI/CD and Git correlation? Yeah, so CI/CD is like a pipeline, continuous integration and continuous delivery. GitHub Actions work really well with that. Unfortunately, I don't think we have the time to discuss in intricate detail what CI/CD is, but it's a little different from than Git as a version control system. CI/CD is a little bit more isolated than that. And if you want to look more into that, I'd recommend looking up GitHub Actions. Chat, where's the link? mlh.link/gettrained. Congrats, we have 100+ viewers on Twitch. Let's go. I love it. And I see pull is fetch and merge, 100%. And then can you pull another user's remote repo? Yeah, so that's basically cloning a repository, is when you're downloading someone else's repository from a remote origin or a remote repository, and you're able to clone it into your local. So that's how you create this 4-step here, or these 3 steps over here. And yeah, I see 404 saying GitHub Actions have helped so much with hackathon projects. Completely agree. They're so much fun and they're really, really cool. Need an MLH link for Git Good. I agree. That would be kind of funny. Yeah. So in terms of the small sample for each step, or small example, think of remote repository as GitHub. Think of a local repository as whatever is on GitHub. Think of every single branch that exists there. That's now on your local computer, and that's stored in a .git file, folder. So it's a hidden file. If you enable hidden files on your computer, you can actually see the .git folder. The staging area is inside of Git itself. It doesn't exist anywhere that you can see it. And then working directory is whatever is in your file system. Whatever you see in your folders, that is your working directory. Yeah. So yeah, let's continue. So by design, these intermediary areas allow us to work out any problems before affecting our working directory. That's the purpose of having a staging area, a local repo, and a remote repo. That way you have a source that's outside, you have a source that's inside, you have a source to have to deal with any problem. So if we have a merge conflict, that's in the staging area, and then we have a working directory, which is whatever is in our folder, our project folder. So let's walk through Git and GitHub. So I'm gonna cover a bit on how to set up everything for the work along we're gonna work, or the pair work sessions here. So to do that, we're gonna work through installing Git and creating a GitHub account. So the first thing you need to do is you need to navigate to mlh.link/get git. So it's really similar to the Get Good URL 404 was talking about. But if you go to that link, you can find where to download everything Git related on your computer, whether you're on Windows or Mac OS. You can follow all the instructions. So if you want the specific commands for your specific OS, we have one for Windows and we have one for Mac OS. If you're using Mac OS like I am, you can use brew install git. And if you're using a Windows computer, you can use winget. Yeah. So if you want to understand where you can access Git though, because let's think about it, it's kind of hard to know if you have Git installed or not, or where to use it or where not to. Windows should have a terminal that is called Git Bash. If you go to the terminal application, you can actually click the plus button on the very top and open a Git Bash terminal. And if you're on Mac OS or any Unix operating system, you can use the built-in terminal. So your terminal should have it already there. And then if you want to verify if you have it installed, one second. If you want to verify if you have it installed, you can go to, so you can type in git version into your CLI and it should give you the version number if it works successfully. So I'll give everybody about 30 seconds to go through that, and I'll answer some comments in the meanwhile. So I see, what about someone on Nix OS? Okay, so you should still be able to brew it, or you can do apt-get. Git should be really accessible, or might even be pre-installed in that OS. What's the difference between using Git GUI and Git Bash? So Git Bash is a terminal, and I think you're referring to GitHub Desktop, as in the Git GUI. That is a program that will just let you use it in a graphical interface. So one of them is like a command line interface. The other one is a GUI. And what else? Yeah, okay, let's go ahead and continue. Okay. Oh, and I see Atomic Shadow saying there's always a Nix shell -p git to easily get stuff. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so let's go ahead and continue. So step 1B is authenticating with Git. So this may apply to you if it's your first time, and it's going to be an issue that will appear later if you don't handle it right now. So we're going to be using GitHub, and to authenticate your GitHub on your local machine, you have to authenticate yourself, right? Think about it. You don't want, let's say, person B being able to say that person B saying they're person A, saying that, like, let's say on GitHub, sorry, this is a weird example, but using someone else's account, you have to authenticate yourself on your local machine to say that you are the owner of this GitHub account. So when you push using your Git on your local computer, you're the same user. You have to authenticate yourself. So we can test it by using this dummy repository that we've created. So if you type in git clone and this URL over here, it should clone it successfully. If it doesn't, that means you have to work on authenticating yourself. So after that, once you use the clone, you can delete it right after. This is just to test again if you are authenticated. But if you are not authenticated and it gives you an error saying that you need to authenticate yourself, you can use the GitHub CLI. So if you use winget install ID GitHub CLI, or on macOS you brew install GH, you can download the GitHub CLI to work on authenticating it. And to authenticate it, you just type in GH auth login, and then it will send you through an OAuth flow to get everything installed, everything linked together. So again, this is pretty important. Could serve as a problem in the future steps in about 20 minutes from now. So I'd recommend real quickly testing it by typing git clone and the URL and seeing if you have access or not. I'll give everybody here 30 seconds to take a screenshot of this or work on it in the background. I see. I don't use Arch, by the way. That's pretty funny. We have an anti-Arch user. Uh, do we need to clone this repository even if Git is working on our system? Like, it's not just to check if Git's working or yeah. So this isn't to check if Git is working. It's to check if GitHub is authenticated on your Git, or if your Git is authenticated with GitHub. So we want to make sure that we can push to a remote repository in GitHub, and to do so, you have to authenticate yourself. And this will, by the way, Git clone will install this repository wherever your terminal is located. So if you don't know where you're located, type in pwd. It stands for print working directory, and you can see where you are. So if you want to know where to delete it from, if you type in pwd in your terminal, you can find the exact file or location it's in. Yeah, and if you did it yesterday, then you're perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and continue. So let's move on to step 2. Let's create a local Git repository that we'll use later on to work with each other. So to do that, we're going to make directory using the mkdir command, and we're going to name it my first repo. From there, we're going to navigate to the directory by typing cd, which stands for change directory, to my first repo. And then we're going to initialize the directory with Git. So Git will not work out of the box. Again, you have to have a secret hidden .git folder to have a project under Git version control. So if you don't have one already set up by using, let's say, npx create next app or create vite app or anything like that, then you have to initialize the directory with Git. And to do that, you type in the command git init. Once you do that, you then can create a file instead of your repository. So I'm going to have some commands here for VS Code and for the CLI. If you're on VS Code, just hit the keybind Control-N or Command-N to create a new file and save it under the name README. So in this file, you can also type in echo and then my first repository and pipe that into a readme.md file. MD, by the way, is Markdown. And I'll give everyone some time there. Answer some questions. Radioactive said, what's the difference between Git and GitHub? I'm a bit confused. Yeah, so Git is a version control system. It's a way to track your changes and manage all of them. And GitHub is an online platform to store these repositories. So Git will have something called a repository. Think of it like your project. And all of these repositories are located in the cloud on a platform called GitHub. I see a question saying, I installed Git from link that you gave. I can see Git bash, Git GUI, and Git command. Awesome, perfect. So once you've done that, the next thing you have to do is you have to authenticate yourself. So if you can, take a screenshot of this page and go through this process to verify that your GitHub and your Git is linked together. And I'll give you one more second. And then I see a question saying, Git version control, GitHub cloud storage. Yes, perfectly, right on the dot. The questions, show 1A again. Yes, I'll do that right now. And then Forfa said, I have done crimes against coding sense with GitHub. There was a hackathon on dumb ideas, and they made a hack and used a Git repo as a database. It was public, by the way, and used GitHub actions to manipulate the repo. It was hilariously bad. Oh, is that it was a tech influencers hackathon, but I think it was like a Nosu hackathon. Is what you're referring to? But that's fun. Using GitHub actions to manipulate the repo and using it as a DB. I've actually done that before. I've used GitHub issues as a database. It was pretty fun. A cool, intuitive way to get a free database. For Vim users, you're gonna have to find the keybinds on that, on how to use your CLI. I use NeoVim, by the way. NeoVim's blazingly fast. And I see Hacker asking for step 2. Let's go back there. And I see NVim is peak. Agreed. I'm so sorry. But is the terminal, is the terminal CMD Git bash or something on the GitHub website? So the terminal application on Windows is a way to access any of the terminals you have installed. So by default, you'll have CMD and PowerShell on Windows. If you install GitHub successfully, you'll also see an option for Git bash right below it. And to get Git bash, you have to install Git. And to get Git, you can go to mlh.link/git. So sorry, GETGIT. I'll type it in chat. mlh.link/get Git. I think that's right. So let me know if that's not working. And should I follow the same in the cursor ID? Yeah, cursor is actually a fork of VS Code, so that should work perfectly fine. So now that we've created our first repository and we've added our first file, let's go ahead and start adding to source control. So we're going to add some to our staging area. Again, think of staging area as an intermediary between your working directory and your local repository. So that's how you bundle up all of your changes into something called a commit. Think of it like a bundled up package of all of your different changes. So to do that, you can navigate in your VS Code, if you're using that, or cursor, to the source control tab, which is the third from the left, the top left. And then you can click on whatever changes that are here to stage changes and get it ready for a commit. If you're in the CLI, you can also just type in git add and the files you want to add. You can also use the dot to add everything, etc. I see a question from Lightskin asking, I've installed it. I just want to know where we are to run the codes to create directions and all that, directories and all that. Yeah. So I'll go back a little bit. You can type in the command mkdir. You're asking where to run it. Yes. So if you are on Windows, you can go to your search bar in the bottom center if you're Windows 11 and type in terminal. And terminal should have the command line interface for you to use to type all the commands. You can also use VS Code in all of this if it's a lot easier. Yeah, let's go ahead and continue here. Yeah, so again, the source control tab is the third from the top left. And to stage changes, you just click the plus button here. And on the CLI, you can just use the git add command as well. So once you have staged your changes, right? Or adding your changes to the staging area, you can then commit your changes. So to do that, you can add a comment here or a message in this message tab in VS Code, and then click the commit button once you're ready. Or if you're using the command line interface, you can type in git commit -m, which stands for message, or it's a message flag, and then add in the message initial commit. Or initial commit could be whatever message you want it to be. So once you do either of these options, it's then going to take all of these changes that you've packaged together and package them, seal the box in something called a commit. And a commit is how we move from the staging directory over into the local repo. So that is basically all we're going to do now for like temporarily. We're going to next start with GitHub. So after the GitHub section, then we'll go back into the Git section and get both of them working. So yeah, let's then connect with GitHub. So I'm assuming everyone here has a GitHub account. If you don't have it, go to navigate yourself to github.com and create an account. It is super easy, super simple, should take you about 2 minutes. Once you've done that, you can then click the new button on your left sidebar once you're on the GitHub landing page and create a new repository. So you'll see, you can type in your repo name and you can add an optional description, and then you can click create repository. But a note, do not select any of these 3 options here. Do not add a README file, do not add a git ignore, do not add a license for now. Normally, you want to have all 3 of those, but for this project, don't do it because we don't want to have any conflicts. We're gonna do our own Git conflicts in a second. So for now, don't touch any of those. Just for this, just for now, and for the purposes of this workshop, if we have time to collaborate with each other, keep the repository public. That way, we're able to work together. So once you've created the repository, you can then copy the URL that's provided by GitHub. It should be somewhere in the center of your screen. You should have this blue box with a git command. You'll see that it follows the format of github.com/your username/your repository name .git. So let's say my name is Ryan Lalu. It'd be Ryan Lalu / let's say it's my first repository .git. That'd be the URL here. But everybody should have their URL automatically created for them using that format. So once you've copied the URL, we want to then add the remote repository to this command. So the command is git remote add origin, and we paste the URL here. So there is a way to do it in VS Code, but it's so much simpler to do it in your command line. So if you're in VS Code, you can just open up your command line and paste this into it. And that's how you will basically add this origin or link this remote repository to your local repository, if that makes sense. Because right now we have, if we go back to this image here, we have working directory staging area and local repository whenever we entered in the git init command, but we don't have a remote repository. So we've just created one, and now we're trying to link this remote repository to everything else we have here. And that's what this command is doing here. It is adding this as an origin or as a remote repository to our local Git. And yeah, and the last thing to do here is to then connect the branches together. So we've kind of linked it together, but the information hasn't passed through yet. We're trying to pass through the information between our local Git and our GitHub repository version of Git. So to do that, on VS Code, on the bottom left, on the bottom left corner, you can select main branch or origin/main. And again, main is interchangeable with master. They're both the same reference here. And if you're on a CLI, so if you want to do it through the CLI, you can use git branch -m main. This is to ensure that your branch is main branch because we want to work off of that analogy. So you'll have to make sure that you are on the main branch first. Everyone here should have it as the main branch or the master branch. Both, again, are the same. And this is what it looks like if you're using VS Code. So if you're getting authentication error, no, before that, let's get push. So we want to sync our changes or pull everything in from our local or our remote and make them the same. Again, syncing them together. In VS Code, that's called syncing changes, which you can click here, the sync button, to push everything from our local to remote. And if you're on the command line, you can just type in the command git push -u, which stands for set upstream, origin, then main. So it's saying that we are going to push everything from our main branch to our origin branch. Or origin, which is our GitHub repository. It's the remote repository here. If you're getting an authentication error, you might have not completed step 1B. Again, go back to step 1B and authenticate yourself with the GitHub CLI. So that's kind of a lot, but we've successfully linked our local Git repository with a remote repository and made them the exact same. So they should be exactly the same now. So now that we've covered that, let's talk a little bit about branching. So if you're new to Git, or if you're not new to Git, you're familiar with Git, it might be helpful to have this refresher on what is Git branching. So more colloquially put, oh, I see a question in chat here saying, can we get these slides? Yes. So if you sign in with the link, our event link, which is in the Discord, or it is also, if someone can drop it in chat for me, or I think it's right here. If you sign in with this link over here, then you'll be able to get the slides right after the workshop. It will send everything to you in an email. Yeah. So branching, more colloquially put, is a foundational concept that you will need to understand. It is so integral to version control systems. You can think of it as the main version of your project being housed in something called the main branch, again, formerly called the master branch. We can see this in this diagram over here. When experimenting or working on a team, it is often useful to branch out from the main branch. These branches are colloquially known as feature branches. So sometimes you'll see feature / and the name of a feature branch, etc. There's many ways to do it, but they're known as feature branches. As you make changes to project files, changes should be committed to a feature branch, not the main branch. You should be committing to a feature branch. However, in hackathon settings, normally you'll just have a main branch and everybody will work off main. That's fine, but the point of version control systems are to branch out and use something called these feature branches. So when your feature is ready to be merged with the main branch, you may open up something called a PR or a pull request, not to be confused with git pull, something a little bit different here. And this is, you can see it inside of GitHub, not the Git CLI. So a PR doesn't need to be perfect. It's meant to be a starting point that will be further refined and polished through code reviews with team members, which means you can open up a PR anytime you want, but when it's ready, you can add comments saying that it's ready. And the point of these PRs are to have a chance where another developer or multiple developers read your code and make comments, changes, request changes, etc. And again, those are called code reviews. So in this code, we can see a code snippet that creates a triangle in JavaScript with the asterisk symbol. Let's say that in this feature branch called custom pyramid, we want to change the symbol from an asterisk to a hashtag, right? So in this code review, we can say that maybe the maintainer wants the main variable to be called C for character instead of SYM for symbol. So they want to change that. So what we'll do is in this code review, we'll make those changes. And once it's all good, set and done, we'll then merge that branch or merge those changes into the main branch. So you can see here, we've then merged all these changes up into main with the new C for our character. So yeah. So if you understand branching, we're good to go. Let's go ahead and resume on to like collaborating with each other. So before we do that though, I'm gonna read some chat messages. So I see, what is it? Any questions? What repo are we supposed to be working off of for this session? So we'll actually cover that in about 10 seconds here. It's gonna be this slide right here. Using the terminal is kind of complex. I completely agree. At first, using the terminal is a little daunting, but it gets easier after time, I promise. You'll probably even find it to be easier in the future. It's just a little bit hard to get used to at the beginning. How do I handle merge conflicts? Yes, we'll get to that in a tiny second. And then can we get these slides? Yes. So if you sign in again using the check-in link that we had earlier, you can get access to our slides. So let me find it real quick. Over here. If you use that link, you'll be able to get the slides after the workshop ends in about 15 minutes. Yeah, so we probably will not have too much time here to work, so I'll try to speedrun it a little bit. But if you want to find another hacker in chat, ask right now. Ask for another hacker. You can say, I want to lead the project, and then you can just reply to the person in Twitch chat and say, hey, can I partner with you? So try that, and let's see if we can form some groups here while I continue through this process. So yeah, again, form groups of 2. And we're going to select one Hackish repository to use for this project. So if your repository was selected, or you're the person that wants to lead this exercise, then you can share the remote URL with your partner. So what I would actually recommend here is to share your GitHub URL, your GitHub name. So for me, it's LRNLE, and your GitHub project. So it'd be like Git workshop, for example. So this would be my project. So I'd recommend typing that in chat, and another hacker can just reply and say that they'll be the contributor on that. That way you don't get timed out by Nightbot or anything for typing a URL. So just type in that slug. And if you are the leader of the repository, you can navigate to github.com, your username, the repository name, /settings/access to add your partner's GitHub username as a collaborator. So if you are the partner here, type in your GitHub username in chat and replying to kind of like the URL here. That way the leader can add you to the repository. So let's say 404 was the leader here. He'd type in chat like 404 not found / Git Good with Git. And if I wanted to collaborate with 404, I would type in my username and reply to him saying my username in GitHub is LRNLE. And what 404 would then do is he would navigate to this URL right here and add me as a collaborator. Yeah. And if you are the partner here and your repository wasn't selected, you need to clone the repository. So what you can do is you can navigate, you can go to your command line and type in git clone https://github.com/ their username. So in this case, it'd be 404 not found / their repository name, or Git Good with Git, and then .git. So for example, Lightskin typed in chat their GitHub user, and Umarul Mukhtar can respond to Lightskin with their GitHub username. So I see Atomic Shadow also type in their stuff in chat. So yeah, we can start forming some groups there in our remaining 10 minutes. Hopefully we'll have enough time to complete the exercise. So yeah, again, quickly just reiterating or re-highlighting everything here. If you are going to be the partner lead, I'm going to call you lead. you want to go navigate to this link and add the other partner as a collaborator. And if you're the partner that's cloning everything, you want to clone using this format over here. And yeah, you'll get a GitHub invite from partner 1. Okay, so partner 1, or the one who owns the repository, will need to make some changes. It's going to be a little bit hectic here. How many slides do we have left? We have a lot of slides. Okay, so I'm going to breeze through this because we have a lot more slides to get through here. Yeah. So if you want, take a screenshot of this. Continue this in DMs, Twitch DMs if you want. But partner 1 is going to make some changes to a file. They're going to add to their working, their staging area. They're going to commit it into the local repository and push it into the remote. So think of it as going through those 4 different staging areas. To do that, we're going to create the changes by, in the command line, typing echo partner 1's changes into a README file. We are then going to add those to our, again, staging area using git add readme.empty or git add dot to add everything. We're then going to move that to our local repository by typing in the command git commit -m, and the message is going to be partner 1 update, and then we're going to git push. Do not git pull after this. Just stay on git push. After partner 1 finishes that, have partner 2 make their changes without pulling partner 1's changes. So this can be done at the same time. You can do it at the same time here, but do not pull each other's changes. Partner 2 will do the exact same thing. Instead of partner 1's changes, it's going to be partner's 2 changes, and they'll follow the exact same steps here. So once you do that, don't continue. Partner 2 should receive an error, or partner 1, whoever commits the second time, they will receive an error here. That is perfectly fine. That is intentional. What the error that you received is called a merge conflict. So if you run into an error and it's telling you to resolve a conflict, that's perfectly fine. That's called a merge conflict. So you might be asking yourself, what is a merge conflict? Even if you know Git pretty well, this is going to be pretty helpful. Normally, a version control system will merge non-conflicting changes automatically. However, a conflict will occur if at least one other user makes a change different from your changes on the same lines of a file, and it's not able to be automatically merged together. So let's view an example with 2 branches. We have our main branch and we'll have a change fruit branch. We start with a list of Jay's 3 favorite fruits here. So Jay's 3 favorite fruits is a mango, an apple, and a banana. And change fruit is our feature branch. So let's say Lisa, or hacker2, is going to change it in the change fruit feature branch. Instead of Jay's fruits, it's going to be Lisa's fruit list. And instead of mango, apple, and banana, it's going to be pineapple, orange, and banana. So we're changing line 2 and 3, or item 1 and 2. So yeah. So at the same time, Jay is also going to change the file, and he is going to change it from his list from mango, apple, and banana over here. He's going to change it to watermelon, apple, and banana. So he's changing only the first option here, or line 2, right? So Jay continues to work on the file and makes changes to his working directory, as you can see here. And while Jay works, his friend Lisa is also making an update in a different branch. However, Lisa branches from main before Jay committed and pushed his new changes, his new updated list, right? So we have these 2 versions of it, of our code. So the question here is, once Lisa finishes her changes and opens up a PR, what will happen? What will the code look like here? What does anybody think? Does anybody have an idea what's going to happen here? So if Jay attempts to pull, which is fetch and merging, his changes, what will happen? So here's what's going to happen. Lines 1 and 2 is going to have a conflict. Lines 3, or list item 2, is going to be taken from Lisa's branch. And item 3 is going to be from Jay's branch. And here's what's happening. Lines 1 and 2 will have a merge conflict because both Lisa and Jay changed it, right? Line 2 is going to have a conflict because Jay changed it to watermelon, mango to watermelon, and Lisa changed it to pineapple. Then on line 3, it's going to be updated because nothing changed from Jay's line 3, only Lisa's. So we're going to change it to orange. And then banana is going to remain the last option because nobody changed that. So that's what it will look like here. So an example of what this would look like inside of VS Code, if you have a merge conflict, is you're going to have the head or the current changes and the incoming changes from remote. So Jay is going to see that his change here is going to be Jay's fruit list and watermelon for his first item, while Lisa's changes is going to be pineapple for line item 1 and Lisa's fruit list as the name. So those are the incoming changes. And you'll have the option to accept current change, incoming change, both changes, or compare changes. And to answer a few questions in chat, sorry if I'm going a little bit fast here. We only have 5 minutes left in this workshop. So I'm gonna try to cover everything here. But if you signed in using the link, you'll continue, or you'll get the slides right after. So if you want to work with your partner, you can continue this in Twitch DMs or in Discord DMs. So we have just a few more sections here. Sorry for going a little fast. So now that we've learned how to resolve merge conflicts, now that we've learned how merge conflicts happen, let's try solving them together here. So both partners can pull their changes using git pull, and this is optional, but you might get this error saying you need to change your reconciliation tactic or whatever. And to do that, just type in the git config pull.rebase and set that to false. You can open the readme.md file, and it will have all the conflicts in there. So you can follow your IDE's prompts or manually resolve the conflict by keeping the change you want, removing the conflict you don't want, and removing any conflict markers. That's more of like the layman's way of doing it. But if you want the professional way to do it, you'll just You'll just use the buttons there, or you'll that's kind of the way to do it instead of just deleting these. But yeah. Anywho, once you've resolved everything, you can then add your changes, commit your changes, and push your changes. And give me 1 second. Yeah. And after that, you can talk to your partner, discuss why the Git conflict occurred using what we just learned, and what you can do to prevent Git conflicts during a hackathon, and if there are any strategies to prevent these conflicts. And to answer those, Git conflicts happen when 2 or more users try to change the same piece of code that aren't like branched off each other. So if they're done in parallel, that's when you get Git conflicts. That's kind of the purpose of React type projects, where you have different component files to store different changes. That way you don't have conflicts. It's harder to change someone else's file, and you can work individually on each file. So yeah, again, I am really sorry, y'all, that I had to absolutely zoom through this workshop. We only have 2 minutes left in the stream, but I'll open the floor up to y'all to ask me any questions if you have anything that you want me to, any slide you want me to go back to, or if you need any help here. So I see Coolslick asking, where are the slides available? And the answer to that is if you sign in using, 1 second, there are like hundreds of messages in chat. Love seeing all the cool faces. If you sign in using this link below me here, in about 2 minutes, you'll get an email with all the slides. So you only get the slides if you sign into the event. But again, I am really sorry, y'all, for going really fast here. We only have a 1 hour block for this workshop, and we had a lot of questions. So I tried to get through the questions before, and we didn't have enough time for the interaction and the work along here. So yes, I'm so sorry about that. But if you want, feel free to continue this in DMs. If you want to DM another hacker that you're working with right now, or move the conversations to Discord. There's a lot of places there to work together and try to learn this together. So again, these workshop slides should appear in your inbox in about 1 minute here if you sign in with a link. Shustik, the email will come in 1 minute. It comes at the very end of this workshop block, which is going to be on the hour. So yeah, again, I hope you all enjoyed this workshop. Sorry for going a little fast towards the end there, but I hope you all enjoyed it or learned something new. So if you enjoyed the workshop, feel free to leave me some feedback, letting us know what we can improve or what you enjoyed using the QR code on the right-hand side of the screen. And besides that, I hope everyone enjoys the season launch week. I hope everyone here is excited to find out what the new mascot is. And if you want to continue on, you can join Way in 1 hour. So if you're in IST, I think that's going to be in I think it's going to be at 11:30 or might be midnight 30, might be a little bit late. But you can join Wei from MLH and join him doing some Wikipedia races inside of the Discord. So yeah, again, I hope everyone enjoys their Global Hack Week this month. Have a great time and happy hacking. Thank you all for joining me and take care. Peace. See y'all.